And we're back. NFL Week 13 Power Rankings. Let's get into it. Starting out at number 32, we have the Titans, who are staying the same at 110. The Titans actually played a pretty solid game against the Seahawks, only losing by 6 points, 30-24. However, the game was not as close as the score said. With that being said, the Titans still stayed in the game the whole time. Both, even though the score wasn't as close as it seemed, and the score was close. I mean, yes, the Seahawks dominated, but the Titans kept up. So, huge respect for the Titans in terms of keeping up with a top-tier team. Unfortunately, you weren't able to get the win, or fortunately, because now you still hold sole possession of the first overall pick in the draft. Number 31, we got the Raiders staying the same at 2-9. Abysmal loss to the Browns. Your defense honestly did a pretty good job. Your offense, on the other hand, well, non-existent would be a pretty good word to use for it, I feel like. Yeah, I just think this team is a mess. You got Geno Smith getting mad at the fans, like his own fans, the Raiders fans. Like, you can't be doing that because, they're saying you're a bad quarterback. You're playing like a bad quarterback. There's no doubt about that. So, Pete Carroll should not have taken this job. Should have left on the high note he had in Seattle. Well, high-ish note. The game's just gone past him. The Raiders, I would say look forward to next year, but both Geno Smith and Pete Carroll are still under contract next year, so unless you guys find a way to get rid of them, then, yeah. Number 30, we have the Jets, who are going down a spot at 2-9. You ended up losing to the Ravens in a game where you actually did pretty well the first part, and then the second half you kind of just gave up. Realized you're winning, and then you're like, oh shoot, we need to protect our draft pick kind of vibes. 23-10. It was weird. Tyrod Taylor didn't look amazing. He can't say he looked bad. I definitely think he's an upgrade over Fields for this team. Your defense played amazing the first half. You were actually, I want to say, winning or barely losing. I don't really remember this game too much, to be honest. I mean, it was the Jets. I wasn't paying that much attention to it compared to the other ones. Number 29, we got the Saints going down a spot. This is a game I was kind of paying attention to. Your offense just could not do anything against the Falcons. Like, it was bad. Sorry, I was yawning. Tyler Shuck, don't think he's the answer, but at the same time, do you really want to draft another quarterback? I mean, you just drafted him in the second round, and you're going to give up on him after a year. Don't necessarily know if that's the move. So, yeah. You lose 24-10 to the Falcons. Defense didn't play all too horrible, but definitely not something to be proud about. So, just a bad game altogether by you guys. Browns, 28, up 2 spots, 3-9. They beat the Raiders. Now, with that being said, good win. It was against the Raiders, so doesn't necessarily mean you're a super team. But Shador definitely looked way better than he did last week. And this was his debut since Dylan Gabriel got injured during the game last week. This was his technical first start. Looked way better. With that being said, people are overhyping it. I mean, guys, yes, it was a way better. I do think he is a better quarterback after one game, and I'll say that, than Dylan Gabriel has been so far at all this season. But this was a Myles Garrett game. I mean, he had 3 sacks. The defense held it down for you guys. I'm not going to necessarily discredit Shador so much, but I see all the praise he's getting. Yes, he deserves it. He won the game. He played well enough to win the game. Not, super fancy, but hey, a win is a win, and, well, you didn't play horrible. You didn't luck into one. You definitely earned it. But, I mean, slow down, all right? This is still the backup quarterback who was a 5th-round pick, right? Let's pump the brakes. Let's see him maybe do it again before we go ahead saying superstar status. 27, we have the Commanders staying the same, 3-8. They had a bye week. 26, we got the Bengals staying the same, 3-8. They did not have a bye week. They played the Patriots in a game where they lost 26-20. Actually played really well. Unfortunately for them, couldn't win the game. This was the final game that Joe Burrow is going to be out, barring, he re-injures himself, which hopefully he does not. So the Joe Flacco experiment, wow, yes, was very exciting. Unfortunately, was not able to get you guys any wins. What sucks as well is T. Higgins got injured that game, so, Jamar Chase is going to be coming back, but, all eyes going to be on Jamar Chase now again, and T. Higgins was one heck of a player that game. He was keeping the Bengals alive. But kept it close, but unfortunately couldn't win. 25, we got the Cardinals staying the same at 3-8. They ended up losing in overtime to the Jaguars. They played solid. They were winning a lot of that game, but just unfortunately couldn't, win. Just couldn't quite keep it together. Ended up, I wouldn't say collapsing, but, they just got wore down. The Jaguars are a much better team. Everyone knows that. And you weren't able to keep, them at bay long enough. You were able to take it into extras, but, you weren't able to make anything out of that. So, Cardinals, you almost had it, but just unfortunately weren't able to. 24, we got the G-Men, who are staying the same at 2-10, barely losing to the Lions. This one was heartbreaking for you guys. Winning the whole game, and then you collapse. But you were able to take it to overtime, and then you couldn't do anything. What's even more heartbreaking is you are eliminated from the playoffs. The first and only team so far eliminated, and you lost. You got eliminated because of that. That's just heartbreaking. You guys played such a good game. And who knows, maybe if one thing goes the other way, we're talking a different story. But we're not. Just kind of have to deal with it. So, now you guys are most definitely looking towards next year. You have no reason to play for wins anymore. You have literally a 0% chance of making the playoffs. 23, we got the Dolphins. They're going to be staying the same at 4-7. They had a bye week. 22, we had the Vikings, 4-7, down a spot. 9 did not show up. J.J. McCarthy showed up instead. 23-6. The Vikings offense looked abysmal. The defense, well, they did decent enough to keep the score within reach for majority of the game, but the offense just could not move the football. And I hear people saying, it's give up on him. And normally I would be defending him. This is his first year as a starter, second year in the league. He missed all of his rookie year with an injury. Maybe he's just precautious and nervous about getting injured again. I normally would defend that, especially because he was taken with a top 10 pick. But with how he's played, I genuinely do think it would be the best interest for the Vikings not to necessarily move on from him, drafting a quarterback, but I do think if there is a good quarterback in free agency, or a mediocre one, if a guy like Kirk Cousins becomes a free agent, or if Joe Flacco decides to keep playing after this year with the Bengals, definitely go target them in free agency and bring in some competition for him. Because he is not playing well, and you don't want to have to rely on that for 18 weeks again next year. You want to have a cushion that you can fall back on. 21, we have the Falcons, who are going down a spot at 4-7. Yes, you beat the Saints. But it's the Saints. I'm not praising you that much. You didn't play very well. You played better than you have the past few weeks, but at the same time, you played the Saints. This is a bottom 5 team in the league. No matter who you ask, pretty much. So, I'm not convinced that, you guys deserve to go up after barely beating the Saints. You struggled. With that being said, it's kind of contradicting myself when I'm talking about 20 being the Panthers, who are 6-6 going down a spot, who are above the Falcons, even though they lost to the Saints. But the Panthers, they played Monday night against the 49ers. Turnovers were a big thing. This offense just sucked. You put up 9 points, couldn't even crack double digits. Your defense played lights out, forcing, I don't know how many interceptions on Purdy at the end of the game. I know you had 3 in the first half, though. this was just one of those where you literally needed the offense to do anything. Like the defense doing the absolute best it could, but it not being enough because the offense had a flat tire. 4 flat tires. So, just heartbreaking for you guys. Number 19, we got the Steelers, 6-5, down 2 spots. Prime example of this team is in their, 9-8 era. They were really good at one point, and now all of a sudden they're 6-5, barely hanging above 500. No longer leading the division, which is crazy to talk about. With their most recent loss to the Bears, 31-28. With that being said, you guys actually played really well. This was, in terms of keeping the game close, if you watch this game, this was one of the, this score is so deceiving. It felt like both teams were actively trying to lose this game. I don't know how 31 and 28 points were scored. But both teams, it just looked like neither of them wanted to win. Between the turnovers, the silly mistakes, going 3 and outs. It was a mess. Mason Rudolph was the quarterback for the Steelers. And he played, like a Steelers quarterback. So, unfortunately for the Steelers, you weren't able to get the win. You were able to keep it close, but unfortunately, wins and losses are what matter in this league, not, who you lose to and how close it is. This isn't college football. Number 18, we got the Cowboys. They are going up 4 spots, 5-1, with a come from behind once down 21-0, able to win 24-21 over the Eagles. I'm not too impressed. This was just an Eagles collapse. With that being said, I am impressed that you were able to hold the Eagles to 0 points in the second half while scoring 24 unanswered, 17 of those being in the second half. So this was a great win for you guys, able to keep the division race alive. I thought if you guys lost this game, we were sure looking at the first back-to-back NFC East winner since 20 years. So you were able to get the win, keep not only your playoff hopes in a great situation with the 49ers being at the 7th seed with 4 losses, you're about a game and a half, maybe 2 out, but able to keep the division race alive. You now swept at the Eagles, so tiebreaker now comes down to other factors rather than head-to-head. So good chance for you guys to potentially sneak the division if the Eagles have a collapse. Number 17, we have the other Texas team. We have the Texans, 6-5 up a spot. You pick up a nice win over the Bills. With that being said, your offense was abysmal. Your defense looked like, the next coming of the Legion of Boom. That defense, when you're holding the reigning MVP, granted, not sure if he should have been the MVP. I know this buzz is going about right now. You must be great. This was, James Cook had one good run, which thankfully that's all I needed for my fantasy game. Thank you, James Cook. Khalil Shakir was the only factor. And this was just after Josh Allen last week came off of 6 touchdowns, and you held him to 19 points. This man scored 44 last week. Couldn't even crack 20 this week. Yeah. You deserve to talk your stuff. Unfortunately, your offense did not play very well in my eyes, so I'm not too sold. But if defense wins championships, go ahead. I'm down for it. I am a big fan of the Texans as a team right now. 16, we have the Chargers, 7-4, staying the same. Bye week. 15, we have the Jaguars, 7-4, staying the same. You pick up an overtime win over Cardinals. Nothing too impressive. You were trailing most of that game, but you're able to come from behind, take the overtime, and then take the win. You got the win. That's all that matters. With Buffalo's loss, you jump from the 7th to the 6th seed, so that's good for you guys. I'm still not convinced with this team. I still think you are a middle-of-the-pack team. I do think you will have your name in the hat come January, but I don't know if your name will get drawn to be in the spot. What I'm saying is I think this team is going to either barely make it in or barely miss. And I'm not sure which one it's going to be. 14, we had the 49ers going down a spot at 7-4. You struggled to beat the Carolina Panthers. The Carolina Panthers, who have been relying on their defense did their job, only allowing 20 points. But your defense did its job and only allowing 9 points. We all know the secret to the Panthers at this point. If you stop Rico Dowdle, you stop their whole offense. With that being said, you did just that. They tried getting it done. I know Ted McMillan had a pretty good game, but, nothing was really to come out of it. So, great win. You're still in the playoffs at the 7th seed at the moment, tied with the Lions. I'm not sure how much longer this is going to last. I don't trust your roster enough, ultimately. And you might want to look at, shipping Brock Purdy at the end of the year. Mac Jones might be your future. Number 13, we got the Bears. 8-3 down 2 spots. I know, man. The Bears, they're the Vikings of last year. They're winning these games that, are close. They're one-score games. They're winning them. They're finding a way to win. And like I said, that's what matters. This isn't college football. It's not, oh, my goodness, we beat this team by 10 points. We should be ranked number 1. No, it's based on win-losses. So I do think the Bears are probably going to have their name in a ring in January. They do have a pretty tough schedule coming up. They have to play both the Lions still once and the Packers twice, who are both right there for the division. The Lions, they already lost 2-1, so Lions at the moment have the tiebreaker. So, for the Bears, I don't know if the division's still in play. I'm going to have to see them against the Lions or Packers, which they do play the Packers not this week, but next week after Thanksgiving. So, very curious to see what's going to happen there. I think that's going to decide the Bears' fates. Because the NFC is looking pretty tough. You might have to have a really good record to make it. Number 12, we got the Buccaneers, who are 6-5, down 2 spots. You end up losing to the Rams. Baker Mayfield gets injured, missed the second half. Don't know what his severity is going into next week. I know his injury. It's something that, I don't even remember what his injury is. I just know it's something where I think he's doubtful, which means he could still play, but most likely won't. And in a situation where you're 6-5, the Panthers, who are in your division, are 6-6. The only reason you are in the playoffs is because you are winning your division. If you took out division winners and it was just the best 7 teams, you would miss the playoffs. So you guys definitely have a lot to not only prove, but to hold on to, because Panthers right there with you guys. You obviously don't want to slip up because they are right there breathing down your neck. And plus, you guys looked abysmal against a contender back-to-back times, First the Bills, now the Rams. 11, we got the Ravens, who are 6-5 up spot. You struggled to get the win over the Jets, but, who knows? Maybe you're just playing down to competition, playing with your food. You were able to get the win, which is all that matters. There's really not much to talk about this game. This was one where you guys just struggled, but you thankfully played a bad team that you're able to win. That's literally all there is to say. Entering the top 10, we have the Chiefs at 6-5. They're going up 4 spots. With a nice quality win over the Colts. 23-20. Took it to overtime. You're able to pick up the win. This could be the trendsetter. I know a lot of your losses have been to contenders by 1 score. You finally flip the script around and get your win over contender by 1 score. It's kind of the opposite of last year. All you guys are doing were winning by 1 scores. Now you're losing by them. You guys are still currently out of the playoffs. However, there is a whole bunch of teams right there for it. You got you at 6-5, the Ravens, who we just talked about, 6-5, the Texans at 6-5, who are all a game out. So this team definitely has a good path to the playoffs, especially if they're able to beat up on the Broncos, who are currently leading their division. That's a big if, though. But we will see. Number 9, we got the Bills down for spot 7-4. Your defense played pretty well. Granted, it was against Davis Mills, backup quarterback, who was on a short week preparing against a tough team. So, don't know how much credit I can totally give. Meanwhile, you lost to you beat the Bills, you lost to the Texans. I'm thinking the wrong team. You lost to the Texans by scoring 19 points. Your offense was abysmal. Like I said, you had 2 bright players, James Cook and Khalil Shakir. James Cook was more of a one-play wonder as well, taking that 50-yard touchdown. I do think you guys are in a good spot. You dropped from the 6th to the 7th seed with that win for the Jaguars. And you are the first team who is facing elimination if you continue to drop. So, big expectations for you guys going into your next, honestly, the rest of the season, because the AFC is looking very close. So, little to no room for error for you guys. You're the Bills. I don't think you're going to make much error, so let's see it. Number 8, we got the Broncos. They're going up a spot. You're only going up because the Bills are going down. You had a bye week. 7, we have the Lions, who are staying the same. You get a win over the Giants. Wasn't pretty, but you got the win. Came from behind. Jameis Winston, man, he is making that team look otherworldly. He does that with every team somehow. You guys are still in a great spot. You're still, unfortunately, not even in the playoffs because of how good the NFC is right now at 7-4. Yeah, you play the Packers on Thanksgiving, which is upcoming here. The next game, it's actually in only 2 days. So yeah, big chance for you guys to, I believe, with a win would jump the Packers. Yes, you would. And you could potentially jump the Bears depending on what happens in their game. They don't play on Thanksgiving, or at least not to my knowledge. I know it's the Cowboys who play, but I don't know who they play. So yeah, we'll see what happens with you guys. And yeah, you're still in a good spot though. Number 6, we got Green Bay. We just talked about them playing the Lions, 7-3-1, up 2 spots. Nice dominant win over the Vikings, only allowing 6 points. Your offense wasn't top tier. It did its job, all right? You were playing with a lead the whole time. You just slowly extended that lead, never really looked back, never really gave them a chance to come back. This was just a great game all around. Nothing too fancy by the offense, but, it did its job, and it did its job well. Knew its role of, hey, we just have to play with this lead, and you did. I do think this team is turning a new leaf. We'll see how they do against some actual competition if they're able to pick up a win over the Lions. I know they've lost, a lot of games by 1 score while their defense basically does nothing or does everything and their offense does nothing. We'll see if it's going to be another one of those kind of games because pretty much what it looks like is that the Packers offense is scoring points. You guys are going to win. Number 5, we got the Birds. Eagles, 8-3 down a spot. You lose to the Cowboys. I'm not going to fault you too much. This was a division game. This was the game of the week, allegedly. Not really. I mean, there was a lot of games I probably would have picked over this. But you played with your food. You're up 21-0, and then you just collapsed. That's something that you absolutely cannot do. This high-powered team, who's the reigning Super Bowl champs, by the way, put up 0 points in the second half after scoring 21 in the first. Yeah, you guys just lost the game you shouldn't have. The team got cold feet when it mattered most, and, well, you unfortunately lost the game. You're still in a good spot. However, you do lose the number 1 seed, now belonging to the LA Rams. So, yeah, we'll see what happens ultimately. But you still have a game and a half, I think maybe even 2-game lead over the division. So, there's that at least. Number 4, we have the Colts, who are 8-3, going down 3 spots. You lose to the Chiefs in a game where you probably shouldn't have won. You didn't really play as good as you probably hoped you would. So, yeah, I'm not really going to fault you for this one. You played against, in my opinion, a contender for the Lombardi. So, only losing by a field goal and going to overtime is definitely nothing to be upset about. I am starting to get concerned with this team. It has started to look shaky the past few weeks. I'm worried a collapse is looming. But at the moment, you held your own, and you're still in a really great spot in the division. So, yeah. Number 3, we got the Patriots, who are going up 2 spots. Not the prettiest win over the Bengals. Most teams often either blow them out or score a lot more points and win. But you guys seem to do well on defense and stop them, letting your offense coast to a victory. Your kicker was the story of the game. So, good win. If I'm you guys, the big thing I'm talking about next week is we need to score touchdowns and not field goals. But other than that, you guys played really well. So, no complaints here. 2, we have the Seahawks, 8-3, up a spot. You get the win over the Titans. Wasn't pretty, but a win is a win. Definitely struggled, but a win is a win. Like I said, you are probably still a Super Bowl favorite. You unfortunately aren't winning your division, which at 8-3 really sucks to say. But you are playing really well against every team, even if, the game is close. You played well offensively. You scored 30 points. Just, your defense wasn't quite able to make it an easy one for you guys. So, yeah, I still think you guys are in a really great spot. I'm honestly not even worried about this team. The only thing that would worry me is injuries, and that's a given for any team. But as for now, you're not really injured, so you're doing good. You're doing good. And number one, obviously, you just scored 34 points on the Buccaneers. You allowed 7 points. You are 9-2, going up a spot after the Colts fall. We have, in my opinion, the best team in the league. And I think this should be everyone's best team in the league, the Los Angeles Rams. They have looked dominant the past few weeks, winning their games with confidence. This team is on a hot streak. Stafford is cementing himself as the MVP. Now, obviously, I hear the talks about, not even having a great season compared to Lamar last year. Lamar didn't even win. Shut up, all right? 2 different types of quarterbacks, 2 different types of teams, different year. All right, no one's really playing that good to be MVP but him in my eyes. So, with that being said, this Ram team is looking lethal on all cylinders. And, this is probably the last team I'd want to run into. With that being said, I am rooting for them to win it all, because I do have a feeling this will be Stafford's last year if all goes well. If he gets an MVP and a Super Bowl in the same year, I think he is probably going to call it. So, yeah. But with that being said, that is my list. I hope you guys enjoyed. I did. Let me know what you think. If you think I was too nice to a team, too harsh, where you would put them. And I will see you guys next time with predictions. Goodbye. Hope you enjoyed.